Alright guys, it's time for another birth story, and Vera just had a birthday, so this is a perfect time to talk about her birth story. So she just turned 7. So this has been a long time, and I kind of wrote some notes, and hopefully I remembered enough.
That's a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. This was the first baby that we actually planned to the date. Like we were like, we want a March baby. And so we knew when we had to try. And it happened. Let's see, this is the first pregnancy I had sciatic nerve pain and then a lot of pelvic pain. I didn't even understand what that was then. So at this point we had 2 dogs, and we had dried dog food for the dogs in a bucket. And I remember one time I went to go get some to feed them, and I took a whiff at it, and oh, I loved it. Like I could just sit there and it smelled good. And then we went to Walmart one time, and we walked by the tires, or it was like probably Pep Boys that we went to, and we walked by the tires, and I was like, oh, I love that. Anyway, it's just weird things, smells that I liked.
I feel like when you're not pregnant, those are smells that you hate.
Yeah, because with like the last pregnancy with Derek, I don't like fruit, but with him I wanted oranges. Like I just drank orange juice all the time. Anyway, so I just wanted to point that out. So for this pregnancy, I think it was because insurance problems, but I didn't see a doctor until I was 19 weeks. And so that first doctor's visit, they did a quick ultrasound. She did it with her little machine there, and it wasn't very good. But she kind of saw that it was a girl, and I was like, oh, yay. So anyway, so soon after that, because I was at 19 weeks already, we had our anatomy scan, and it confirmed that it was a girl, so we're all excited. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
We had that little... I'll post a picture of it. It's a girl announcement, and it was cool.
Yeah. It's just so cool to get a boy and a girl right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Oh, and with this one, I was teaching Zumba for the first half of my pregnancy. So anyway, by the time we found out it was a girl, that's when I stopped, because that's when I saw my doctor. I saw her at 19 weeks for the first time, and she goes, oh, you need to stop doing Zumba. And anyway, of course, now we know that that's totally fine. So when we found out it was a girl, everybody was like, oh, you have a boy, you have a girl, you're done, right? And anyway, that was one thing people said a lot. I'm looking down at my notes. I don't like that I'm looking down so much. This is when I was really into crocheting, and I even sold some stuff at a craft show, and I remember just watching Grey's Anatomy and crocheting and Derek running around. So I felt like this pregnancy had gone by so fast because I hadn't seen a doctor for the longest time. I was working for half the time. I was crocheting. And so it went by really fast. We had fun putting her nursery together, because at that time, yeah, we had a 3-bedroom house. So Derek had his room.
We had so much room.
I know, we did. And so we got her nursery ready, and that was really fun. And so since I was crocheting, I crocheted a blanket for her, and that was cool too. So anyway, it came time that I was full term, and I was late. My babies always want to stay inside of me, and so the doctor at 41 weeks, she said, it's time to induce. Like, what are you waiting for? Well, it doesn't seem to be happening. And she had checked me, and there was like nothing. I don't get dilated. So anyway, so she induced me on March 8th of 2014. And so we went in the morning, and like I said, I wasn't like softened or anything. So she gave me Cervidil. It was like 2 or 3 doses of it. I think like each dose is 4 hours. So anyway, when
Was this like early morning to week 1?
Mm-hmm.
Like
I
6?
remember. No, not that early. It might have been like 7 or 8. But I remember dropping off Derek at my mom's, and she took pictures of my pregnant belly. And anyway, so when they first put Cervidil in, you have to lay down for at least an hour so it like does its job, and then I can get up and walk around. So I remember walking down the hall with you a lot. And so anyway, we were just there the whole day waiting on my cervix to do something. And then about 5 o'clock that afternoon, his parents came in, and we were just hanging out. And I remember walking around the room and squatting and trying to get things going. And I remember feeling like my first contractions around that time. They weren't really bad, but they were coming. And then so they left, and then my family came. So it was my mom and my sister, because I think there was a rule where only 2 people were allowed to visit. So it was my mom and Brisi that came. Anyway, so they were sitting over there, and the doctor comes in, and she goes, "We're gonna check you." And I think I was like at a 4. And she said, "We're gonna break your water. We're gonna give you Pitocin, and we can schedule the epidural for 9 o'clock." So she came in at 8 p.m. I was at a 4. She broke my water, gave me Pitocin, and we scheduled the epidural for 9 o'clock, so an hour later. And as soon as she broke my water, I felt the worst contraction I have ever felt in my life, because with the last labor, I had an epidural, so I'm sure I didn't feel the worst. And anyway, it was so bad. It was so bad, and like I could not believe that just breaking my water made it hurt that bad. So she did that, and then she said, this is the doctor, she said, "I'm gonna go home, and the nurse will call me when you're ready to push." And so she left. After she left, my contractions were super, super strong. And so the nurse said, you want us to give you something to take the edge off? And I said, sure. And then she gave me, I think it's called Stadil. I said it in my last birth story too, but I'm not sure if that's what it is. Right.
Something like that.
And then as soon as she gave it to me, I totally remembered that I didn't like it the last time I had it. And it just, the room started spinning, and I just felt so loopy, and it was bad. So the contractions were so bad, and I was loopy, and oh, it was not cool. At this point, Cameron had gone downstairs to get dinner or something, and my mom and Brisi left so that my other sister, Rosie, and her boyfriend could come up. And so they came up, and so in the middle of that, I was on my own for a little bit, and I was trying like different positions, and oh man, it was hard. Those contractions were coming back to back. And so Rosie and John came in, and the Stadil, it makes me like I can't control what comes out of my mouth. So maybe I should have asked them what they remember from that night, because I must have been so scary. But I remember hysterically crying, and I said, "I'm so sorry." I'm screaming and crying, and to Rosie and John, because they were in the room, and so Cameron wasn't there at this point, and John, her boyfriend, held my hand, and I remember like being so grateful that he was holding my hand, but at the same time I was like, oh, that is so weird. Why is he holding my hand? And all of these things are going through my head, and I'm loopy, and oh, it's so crazy. And so anyway, so I was trying to get on all 4s, and I said, guys, get Cameron. And I was like, I have to push. And so they called Cameron, and Cameron came right away, because he had been done with dinner. And then we called the nurse, and she came in, and she goes, "Oh, you can't be ready. That was 30 minutes ago. You can't be ready already." And so anyway, so she checked me, because she saw, I was like screaming by this point, and she checked, and her eyes went big, and she goes, "Oh yeah, you're ready." That was so fast. So I had gone from a 4 to a 10 in 30 minutes. And so anyway, so Cameron had come in, and I guess Rosie had told my mom to come in, so she was in there too, and she was to my right, and Cameron was to my left, and the baby warmer thing was to my left too. And
was it?
Yeah. And my mom, yeah. I feel so bad for my mom, because when she labored, people didn't even know she was in labor. Like, that's how good she labored. And I was just screaming. Like, my sister Priscilla later told me that she was down the hall and she could hear me, and like in the waiting room.
Well, your mom didn't have all those influence medications to
Maybe, yeah,
help.
I think she had to get Pitocin a few times.
Oh.
But anyway, and she didn't know how to help me, of course. Cameron doesn't know how to help me when I'm going through that.
It's the most stressful thing. It's like you don't know what to do, and you're just in just distraughtness. I don't know. Ugh.
So anyway, so she checked me and I was ready, and so she called the doctor back, and so she let me start pushing. You know how the nurse will let you push, to practice pushes. Well, I mean, I didn't have an epidural, so pushing was the only thing that would make it even just a tiny bit better. And I mean, I was screaming. I just didn't know what to expect, and the fact that it just like suddenly hit me.
Mhm.
I mean, I was screaming. By the end of all of this, I had like, what is that called? Like ruptured
blood vessels.
blood vessels all over right here and on my face.
I
Oh my
remember that.
gosh. I just remembered that right now. I didn't have it on my notes. So I pushed, and of course the baby's coming out, and I was crowning, and she goes, "Okay, you need to stop. We gotta wait for the doctor." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So anyway, so the doctor runs in.
Once you start, it stays. It goes.
I know. Is that from somewhere?
It's from Dumb and Dumber.
Oh my gosh, of course. So the doctor runs in, and I mean, no bra on. She's black, and so she had her little bandana on. Like, she was not even. She didn't think I was gonna call her in.
That was the craziest thing. She comes in and like swoops and like
Yeah.
gets the baby out.
Well, she
Boom.
got there when Vera's head like popped out. She like ran in. I mean, she was like, she had a robe on or something, and she was trying to keep it on, and then she caught Vera without gloves on, or something like that. Like,
No,
he was
she
so quick.
barely had the gloves
Oh,
on or
okay.
something like that. Or
Oh,
she had
that's right.
one glove on and like put another one on or something.
Yeah. And anyway, so her head was out, and then she said, "Okay, don't push." And I mean, all I can think of is push so this pain can go away. And I pushed, and anyway, I didn't realize that the cord was around her neck, and so I just pushed her out, and she caught her, and like she went to the warmer right away, and she wasn't breathing. Huh?
So
This is your part to tell, because I didn't know. I didn't know this whole
This
time.
was the craziest part. So it seemed like 5 minutes. I know that doesn't sound like very long, but it felt like an eternity.
I'm sure it was like 15 seconds, honey.
I don't even. We had time enough. So what happened? She came out. I think we cut the cord, and then we brought her over. Yeah.
Well, she didn't give it to me. I didn't have her right away.
Yeah. Well, we did something real quick. We get her over to this warming thing, and that's usually when they're checking her out, whatever. She wasn't breathing. And she was just limp, like dead. And I'm like, what?
And I kept saying, "Is she okay? Is she okay?"
That's enough time to like, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? And
But anyway,
and then she finally came around, and I was like, oh my god.
yeah.
It was the craziest moment.
So anyway, she started breathing, and then they cleaned her up, and then that's when they brought her to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I tore in the same area that I got the episiotomy, the last labor. So I didn't have an epidural, so I remember getting the numbing shot for them to stitch me up, and oh, that hurt. Just the shot. When they were stitching me up, I couldn't feel anything. I mean, I can feel like the tugging, but anyway, so Vera was born on March 8th, 2014. She was 7 pounds, 7 ounces. I don't remember any of the
What time was
inches. What time was it? Oh, it was like 8:57. So 8 o'clock, she broke my water, gave me Pitocin. The epidural was scheduled for 9 o'clock, At 8:30, I was ready to start pushing. That's when I started pushing. And then Vera was born at like 8:57 or something like that, right before I was supposed to get the epidural. So anyway, but she had the biggest cheeks. Oh my goodness. And she had so much hair. So anyway, soon after she was born, we decided her name was going to be Vera Jane. And for the longest time, we had Carly Jane. Remember that?
Yeah.
We had thought Carly Jane. But anyway, so we named her Vera. Oh, I don't remember much about like the hospital stay with Vera, but I remember the next day, I remember looking in the mirror and seeing all those little red spots on me. But the next day, you know, the pediatrician comes, everybody comes in and bugs you. And I think this was the pediatrician. So she came in to look at her and she said, "What's her name?" And I told her, I said, "Vera." And she goes, "Like Vera Wang?" Like she just laughed like it felt like she was laughing at.
Was I there?
No, you weren't there.
Oh, I was like, I don't remember.
And anyway, I just stared at her like, "Why are you laughing?" I didn't. Anyway, so I don't know if she was like laughing at the name or anyway. I remember I didn't like it. But anyway, I do remember too, Rosie came over with my mom and she brought her a 0 candle and a cupcake.
Oh.
And because it was her birthday.
0.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember bringing her home and showing her to Derek at all. But man, this girl ate all the time. Oh my goodness, she ate so much. And she didn't like the cradle. She's the baby who used the cradle the least. And
where would she sleep?
She would sleep in the middle of us.
Really?
Yeah. She was, what is that called?
I remember we did that.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore.
No, she did not like the cradle at all. I did nurse her until I was until she was 8 months. And I stopped because by that point I was pregnant again, which will be a different video. But she was, she was so cute. The hair, the cheeks. She was our one chubby baby.
So chubs. You'll see pictures or videos or something.
Gavin was chubby too, but no, Vera was whoa chubby. It was so fun to squeeze those thighs. I do remember it was like 30 minutes after I had her, and I quickly got up and I took a shower, and the recovery was so great that the next, like I have that many kids. The next 2 kids, I said no epidural, because with my first I had an epidural and the recovery was, it was so bad.
How was your
and with
recovery
Vera,
with Gavin?
With Gavin, it was good.
Oh.
I know. They're all different, honey. And so with Vera, I didn't have the epidural and I recovered so well. And as in, like, I was just able to get up. I wasn't in pain. I didn't feel like I had been run over by a car. It was a good recovery. And so for the next 2, I didn't get an epidural either. But anyway, that is the story of Vera's birth. She's now 7 years old. She's in 1st grade. Yeah. She's a big girl. And she's so great. I love that girl. She's such a big helper and we love her.
All these people kept saying like, "Oh, you're having a girl, you're gonna..." I don't know what they would say, but they would say basically like, "You're gonna love having a girl." So I was like, really? And it's true. Daddy's girl.
Yeah, our girls are daddy's girls and our boys are mommy's boys.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, thank you for hanging out with us, for listening, for watching, and we will see you in our next video.